also for the UI stuff, we have this tool called Inspector. If you already did some web development, there is this WebKit Inspector or the Eco Inspector that is embedded in the browser that allows you to click on a widget and get the HTML code of that. You can change the CSS. So GNOME does theming of the applications with CSS as well, which means that you can also tweak CSSs of applications and everything. Can I open your Nautilus here?
Yeah.
So for instance, here we have Nautilus. Oh, it looks gigantic.
Yeah, no. If you release it, it changed the.
Yeah. This is the aspect ratio. Okay. So GNOME has a shortcut to bring this, but you can also run from the command line GTK debug to bring the inspector out.
Yeah, I think it's the same.
And what's cool about this tool? Let's see it like this.
And what is this E shortcut?
Oh, Ctrl-Shift-I.
It's disabled by default,
yeah,
so there is a link there in the e-commerce wiki page which links to how to enable. It's called GTK Inspector, so if you search for GTK Inspector in that part of the wiki page, you will see how to enable it.
So it has this speaker tool here in the corner, which allows you to click on some item in the UI and get information about this object. So here we see that this path bar container here in the top, this is exactly its name. So if you want to search for bugs related to the path bar container, you have here the name of the widget. So you can use git grep just like Carlos showed. You see here is the GTK box, so you can also look at the documentation of GTK box to see what methods and properties it supports. Here there's like a lot of information regarding size, allocation, and stuff of the widget. Here you can interact with the properties. So it's object-oriented paradigm. So you have objects with properties. So the GTK box here has some properties that you can tweak. For instance, here the border. So let's start playing. You see that the widget moves in real time. So sometimes when the issue you are tackling is an issue related to UI, you can pretty much fix it on the inspector and then just translate the fix to the code so it becomes permanent into your patches. So here you can tweak a lot of these. Here it's filling the whole alignment of the container, so you can just put it in the start and now the widget doesn't expand any longer. What else we can do? The margins, just explore. There are various other advanced features like event capture, so you can see how many clicks were emitted by a widget and things like this. But another thing is CSS. Some of the issues you're going to find out, they are theming issues. So text is not readable because the background has same color as the text or something like this. And GTK allows you to use CSS to theming the applications, to change the colors, the sizes, buttons, margins, and all. Here you can browse the CSS nodes. The nodes, they are like selectors, like the equivalent of classes in HTML, which allows you to refer to these things on CSS. So for instance, here we have the header bar. The header bar is this bar here in the top. So I can apply some CSS to the header bar by just header bar.
Do you know CSS? Yeah? Everyone knows CSS? Okay.
So let's make it red. So it's red. But this is really unlimited because you can, for instance, do animations. Here we have an API for animations, which you can specify keyframes. So you pretty much specify statues of the animation. So just to give you an example of the power of this, you're most likely not going to be animating so much stuff. But here I could, for instance, make it go from red, from blue to red. So I'm gonna call this animation police siren. Let's say ground blue. Okay, so now I define how the animation is going to look like, and now I'm going to tell the header bar to use that animation. So I can use animation. It's going to take 2 seconds. The function that is going to transition between the frames is going to be a linear function. I want it to repeat to infinite, and finally the name of the animation.
Are you missing after the background blue, are you missing a...
Semicolon? No.
So it's called
I am closing here the brackets.
the brackets, yeah. Yeah.
So now you see there it's blinking. But really we can do whatever we want. Like let's deal with the images here, all the images, and instead of changing the color, I'm going to make them rotate. So he has this CSS property, GTK icon transform, I think. And we can do rotate one target. So I guess here it needs to refresh. Yeah, so now you see the icons, they are rotating. I'm going to take the red away so you can see clearly.
Ah, yeah.
Okay, now. Yes, here we can have it.
New feature.
It's a new feature.
And what's interesting about this is that it's actually the animations are very widely used on GNOME. I wrote this control center. Control center is our settings, like a control panel in GNOME. I wrote this user accounts panel where you manage your users in your system. Wait, tails, users. Yeah, so I'll create a new user here. So, I don't know your password. Thanks. I'm gonna create here a new user. Felipe is my name. So here in the top, we have this animation with this arrow following. If I want another user for Ernesto, I can. We also do some pagination here, so I'll create another user and you can pages. And these are pretty much those CSS transformations we saw before. So you see the inspector is a very powerful tool, and a lot of the issues you're going to use can be done here directly. It might be that the issues you find are like, this application doesn't look well with the dark theme. So some of the apps, they can have a dark version. If some people like the apps to be in a dark version, so here, for instance, you can switch it. Or sometimes you have accessibility issues, like some user foiled a bug that he cannot read it. They cannot read the text on this high contrast theme. This is the one people have these abilities to read the theme that they use. So here you can iterate over these things. Here you can do some font scaling for the text. I guess some people who have problems to read, they would probably enlarge the fonts. So you can tweak all these things visually here, and when you find the right thing, you just translate that into the code. What else we can tell them about this? The inspector.
The hierarchy.
Yeah, the object hierarchy here.
No, it has to be on the header bar on the left. Those two buttons.
Ah, yeah, that's right.
Yes, this one.
Yeah, so here we have the widget hierarchy. So the widgets are organized as a tree, right? You have the main container, which is a window, and things are inside the window. So here you can see from top bottom, the Nautilus window is an object. So also you can go to git grep, like this search on the terminal, and try to look for this object if what you're fixing is related to the window. So here inside the window, there are some widgets. You see the ones here which are in gray if they are not visible. So we can make them visible maybe. Let's go here and the visible property and turn true. Let's see what shows up there. That button showed, that menu showed up. So here you can iterate with this widget. What else is inside? Here we have the toolbar. So it's this bar here in the top. You see when you click here, it changes the color there. So containers, inside containers, like let's see, toggle button here. Oh, that button in the corner, the search button. So for instance, the search button uses an image, and the image is a search icon. So I can here just change it to something like, tell me a symbolic name.
Edit, I think.
No, now it's the known, not found icon there.
Folder symbolic, I think it's
So now there's a folder icon there.
yeah.
Or there's, I guess, a weather, shower, yeah, the rain.
The rain icon.
It's the one in our weather application. Oh, we also can change the pixel size for icons that hardcore the pixel value. Not this case, but I guess. Look at that. It's coming for you.
I think Nautilus is looking great now.
Yeah.
We should keep it forever.
People complain about the size of the header bar.
Yeah.
But added as an option.
Cool.
So yeah, the inspector is a tool that can definitely help you in UI things, and it's going to be an everyday tool that you're gonna use if you are hacking on GNOME apps.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
explore it, play around, break the apps.
Yep, so that's it. There are also some demos of GTK, but I think with Inspector you have most what you need.